Hello, Business Law 1 students. I wanted to make an announcement. As you know, your final exam has been posted. Each question is worth 12.5 points. A total of 10 questions is 125 points. You should IRAC your responses, issue, rule, analysis, conclusion, unless otherwise indicated, and it's not otherwise indicated in any of those questions. I will also note that there is a firm length limit, no more than 8 sentences per question. However, that limit is really for maybe one or two compound questions that I'm aware of, right? You should be able to answer every one of those questions in about 4 sentences to 5 sentences max. But 8 sentences are available for you to use that will be kind of enforced. So we just need a direct and concise answer, not a treatise, right? Just spot the issue, right? And remember that the issue is the legal claim and then somehow connected to whatever factual cues in the fact pattern lead you to select that legal claim, right? The rule is going to be an abstraction of the elements that one uses to determine whether the requirements of that legal claim is met. It is generally applicable. If you have confusion about selecting or drafting your rule, go back to how to construct a rule, which was one of the lessons. You can sort of look, that video is still up on YouTube. So I encourage you to use that resource. Also, analysis. Oh, one more thing about the rule. Don't put your fact pattern into the rule. There should be no elements of the fact pattern in the rule, except to the extent that they happen to be generic elements that are also reflected in the elements of the legal claim that you're trying to derive a rule for. So don't put your fact pattern in your rule. Your fact pattern goes in your issue to an extent, and then your fact pattern also goes into your analysis, but not into your rule, right? Again, with your analysis, the analysis is your explanation of how that rule and those facts come together and what your view is of how those facts should be examined, right? And these are not long fact patterns, right? So you don't have that much to work with. I mean, you've got enough to construct an analysis, right? If there's any assumption that needs to be made or anything that is that you think needs clarification, you don't have to have all possible facts in order to answer these questions, right? What else? Come to a conclusion. Close it up at the end and give me a conclusion. Who wins, who loses, if that's how it's framed. Don't leave that part off. Don't skip any questions. Don't skip questions. Every time I go through this, I mean, if you skip questions, what am I supposed to do? Even if you don't know the answer, venture an answer and I can give you some points, right? If you don't venture any type of answer, my hands are tied, and I'm on your side. Don't skip questions. There's no reason to skip questions. As for approach, we have each question is labeled, right? Either it's contracts or torts. There's one, I think, that might be one or two that are a mixture of contract torts, right? If you see something other than contracts and torts in this exam, flee from it. It is not the point. It is only contracts and torts. It's a contracts and torts exam, right? With regard to torts, as we discussed, list out all of your possible claims, as we did with the how to construct a rule exercise, and then have a matrix that sort of allows you to go directly to the particular claim that you think it is and select your generally applicable principle from that, right? Contracts is, although it's sort of the same way, it's not set up as cleanly as torts, right? Because there are many different principles that can be applied in contracts, but really it's sort of the same once you step back and look at the 30,000 foot view, right? You have a number of principles that are applied in a certain way, right? So you think of your principle as your legal claim, right? Like consideration, right? Its elements, for example, a legally sufficient value, right, plus bargain for exchange need to be there, right? So if the claim is missing consideration, then your issue might, or possibly is a question about consideration, your issue might be, right, was there consideration in X's promise to do blah for Y, right? And then your rule would be, right, an explanation of what is required for consideration. Or even if it's a subpart of that, maybe you just focus on the generally applicable principle that's just like for example, if it's just adequacy, right? Or it's just legally sufficient value. That maybe that's how you focus your rule, right? It's up to you, but the main point is to zero in your issue and then bring it out in your rule and then explain it in your assessment of the analysis. All right. I wish all of you very good luck. The other piece is that I'm working on the fixing a snafu in your 25-point extra credit. There are 25 additional extra points available. You have to finish this assessment in order to do so. Some people have already responded, so some people were able to open it properly. For other people, for some reason, it's opening up onto our Commons website, which I didn't even know you guys had access to. I'm trying to figure out, I need tech support, basically, and I hope to have that resolved on Monday. All right. Best of luck to all of you. And I look forward to seeing many of you in the future, if you take business law too, or if you're just around. And I thank you for your time this semester. Take care.